Now we are learning we're beginning this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is VaAira. And like we talked about this morning, it is an answer. God is answering last week. This question that Moshe asked, this is last week. Right? Moshe asked God last week, here it is. Vayoshev Moshe went back to God. This is the end of last week's Torah portion. Vayoshev Moshe went back to God and he said, God, why have you done bad? Why have you tortured this Jewish people? And why have you sent me? What's wrong? Because since I've gone to Paro to speak in your name, things have only got worse. You didn't save your people. Right? God told Moshe to go to the Jewish people, and he gave them all sorts of signs, and take a stick and turn it into a snake, and take your hand and put it into your shirt, and it'll come out like sheleg, and take the water and turn it into blood. And they showed it to the Jews, and the Jews believed him. And he said, okay, you're getting out. The time has come. And everybody was very happy. And it just got worse. They didn't get out. And they were complaining to Moshe, what did you do to us? Moshe, you didn't save us. Why did you ever come? And so Moshe goes back to God and he said, what am I supposed to tell them? Since I came to you, I spoke to Paro to speak in your name. Everything got worse. And so now God is answering. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, now you're going to see what you're going to do to Paro, because with a strong hand, I will take you out. And said, he will send you from your land, and he will, drive you out from his place, of his land. Good. And here it goes. Vayidaber Elokim al Moshe, and God spoke to Moshe and said, Ani Havaya, I am Hashem. Okay, we really have two aspects. Here is Elokim. This is God's aspect of severity. Severity. This is also the name which was used to create the world. Elokim. Vayidaber Elokim, in the creation of the world, 32 times was mentioned this word Elokim. And it wasn't mentioned the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei at all. And now God is saying, to you, I am Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And he's saying, let me just go further and we'll go back here. VaAira, this is the name of the Torah portion. And I appeared to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in one aspect of my name, one aspect of me, a name of God which is called El Shaddai. Kel Shaddai. But my name, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, I didn't let known to them. There's 7 names of God. And this is the main name of God. There's actually a lot more. But this is the main names of God that you're not supposed to erase. This is the main name of God. This name, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. That's what God told Moshe before. And God said, and also, I made a covenant with them, and I'm going to give them the land of Canaan, the place of and I didn't give it to them. I didn't give them the land of Canaan, not to Abram, not to Yitzchak. I promised them, and they terrible things happened to them. And I kept promising, and I never gave it to them. And also, I heard, don't worry, I heard the cries of the Jewish people, and I remembered this covenant that I made with them, that I'll get with it. Okay, and then he says, now remember, I am God. I took them out of Egypt. I will take them out of Egypt. I will save them. I will redeem them, and with all sorts of big miracles, and I'll judge the Egyptians, and I will take them to me for a nation. Now, these are the 4 lashons of redemption. This is what's called the 4 lashons, the 4 languages of redemption, and according to them, corresponding to them, are the 4 cups that we drink in the night of the Seder. 4 cups of redemption. Hotzeti, I took them out, and you'll see the Or HaChaim explains this very nicely. I took them out, Hotzeiti, Hitzalti, and I will save them. Go'alti, I will redeem them. And Lakachti, I will take them to me for a nation. And I will be for them for a God, and they'll know that I am God that took them out of Egypt. And then there's a fifth cup, which is the cup of Eliyahu, Elijah the prophet. And that is the word from Heveti. We don't drink that cup. Heveti etchem, and I will take you from the land that I have sworn that I will give it to you, to Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and for all then I am God. I'm going to give you the land. Right, let's see how much we can accomplish here in the short time that we have. Let's start from the beginning. Elohim spoke to Moshe and he said, Ani Hashem. Let's look at Rashi. Rashi says, why does it say Elo, the name Elohim? Elohim will say, Daber, he told Mishpat. He spoke to him with severity. Ad Shehiksha, because Moshe asked questions to God. V'lomer, he said, Lama harayot olam hazeh. Why? He asked God, why are you torturing this Jewish people? So God replied severely. And Vayomer said, Ani Yudke Vavke, and I am Yudke Vavke. What's Yudke Vavke? This is God's name of kindness. And he says, this name of Yudke Vavke, of God, Yud, I say K because you're not supposed to say God's name. So it's Yud, and there's a Hey and the Vav, and this is God's main name. Said, Naaman, I'm trusted. I am faithful. L'shalem schar tov, that I give good reward to those people that walk before me. And not for free did I send you, but I sent you in order to fulfill what I promised to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And in this language, you also find this language of Ani Hashem. Many times it says in the Chumash that it's mentioned Ani Hashem, Ne'aman leporeya, I am God, which means that you can trust on me, you can trust me, that I'll pay everybody what they deserve. Keshu Omar Eitzel Onesh, when it says by a it also says by severity, like V'chilalta et shem Elokecha Ani Hashem, says, and if you defile the name of God, Ani Hashem. What does it mean, Ani Hashem? I am God, I'll pay everybody what they deserve. Keshu Omar Eitzel Kiyam mitzvahs, when it says by doing the commandments, it also says do my mitzvahs, and if you do them, I will repay you. Ani Hashem. When it says the word Ani Hashem, I am God, it says that I am, you can trust on me to repay the reward. Here is here the Ramban. The Ramban, sometimes he brings what's called Al Derech Emet. He brings according to Kabbalah, even though it's not very difficult to Kabbalah, but it's talking about spiritual things. It comes simply to say like this: Vayomer Hashem, and there eti lechem es paklaria shel kel Shaddai. I appeared to Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and through a glass, through a vision of El Shaddai. Ketam amare love esvada. Like it says, to the other prophets, I appear to them like in a vision, the mare. Oti ani lo nadati, but my essence I didn't make known to them. Shelo nistaklu bespaklaria meira. They did not see through a clear vision. That's what it says in the Zohar. Shiyaduoti, that they should know me. Katam asher yadu Hashem panim upanim, like knowing God face to face. What's the difference? The Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they knew God. They knew God. Avalon noda lahem benavua. God did speak to them, but He didn't show His full the essence in prophecy. Therefore, when Avram spoke with God, Yazkir Hashem Yuchad Shel Aleph Daled, therefore he mentioned usually God's name with Aleph Dalet Adonai, or Aleph Dalet Levado, or Adonai alone. Hine inyan that the Avos, they had the revelation of the Shekhinah to them, spoke with them in usual what do you call it? Din Rafa, not very severe, and he conducted them that way. But with Moshe, he let them know mercy. That this is God's great name. Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's God's big name. But Ta'amuli. Now, usually the name Shaddai, God's name Shaddai, is usually severity. But Kael, the name Kael, that's kindness. So it's telling me so it's saying that it's a type of severity, but it shows on kindness. It's mitigated severity. But with Moshe, God let Moshe know the essence of God, which is mercy, rachamim. That's like it says that he led Moshe with his right hand and his Zorot Tiferet, his glorious hand. Tiferet is usually the middle pillar. That's mercy. So that essentially that's what he says. Therefore, he said, I didn't fulfill my covenant with them yet, right? But I will. In other words, what I've seen, I appeared to them in the name El Shaddai, and also I fulfilled my covenant with them, Lefanai, and also in my great name. But now I've heard what the Jews are crying out, and I remember what I've said to them. You have to remember that God is above time, even though God does not like to make people suffer. And it says that called Sarotam Lotzar. It says that when there's suffering in the world, that God suffers also, especially when the Jewish people suffer. But for somehow or other, and we'll explain this, why there has been so much suffering for the Jewish people. Up now it's totally not understandable. It says, nevertheless, don't worry. God, that's what the Midrash says, like this. Why is the fathers is mentioned the name only El Shaddai? Why not? Why couldn't he reveal himself in his full name? Therefore, it says to the Jews, I am Yud Kei Vav Kei, and I'm going to take them out, and they'll know that I am God. Therefore, it says, in other words, with the merit of all the Jews altogether, then now I'm going to show my full essence. Therefore, that's what God was saying to Moshe, the fathers, that they didn't reach your level of prophecy, and they only saw me in the name of El Shaddai. They believed me. And also, I did my covenant with them. What does it mean? What's the covenant that I did with them? I heard now the cries of the Jewish people. Even though now my name is known in my great name, but nevertheless, you should have more trust in my mercy, like the fathers trusted that it would come and that it would show great big miracles. This is, it says the Ramban, is the proper way. In other words, I did keep my promise to the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, but I did it only now. I'm doing it now. And they had patience to wait. They believed that I was going to do it. And now it's finally come the time that I am going to save the Jewish people. And you're impatient, Moshe. That's what it's saying. Okay, let's look here. Or is this? I don't remember. All right, it says, what does it say here? Let's just have a look. There's so much beautiful commentary here that we could spend a lot of time. Maybe we'll spend a little more time here. It says, Vayadaber Hashem al Moshe. God spoke to Moshe. Vayomer elav, and he said to him, Ani Hashem. What is this Vayomer elav? These words are not necessary. It should say, Vayadaber el Moshe. Ani Hashem. God spoke to Moshe, and he said, Ani Hashem. What does he have to say? And God spoke to Moshe, and he said to him. These words seem to be extra, and that's what the Kli Yakar is standing on here. Kli Yakar. It says, Vayedaber Elokim al Moshe Vayomer Elav, and he said to him, Elav, this word Elav, Miutar Lagamri, is totally extra. It could have even said, Vayedaber Elokim al Moshe Vayomer, and he said, Ani Hashem. That's what it says in a lot of sentences. We'll see later on. Vayedaber. What does this have to say? That God spoke to Moshe and he said to him. What do you mean he said to him? Of course he said to him. Who was he speaking to? Kikavar Iskir already said that his name is Moshe. He already said that he was speaking to Moshe. So what does that have to say, the word Elav? Nearly, it seems to me, like this. Al Derech Shomer Azal, like what the rabbis say. Shalakach, therefore, Moshe's name was called Moshe, not Masui. Moshe, it says Masui. Masui means that he was drawn out of the water. That's what his name should be. His name, it says, they called his name Moshe because Minamayim Mishisiya, the daughter of Paro, called him Moshe because Minamayim Mishisiyu. So it should have said Mishui, that he was drawn out of the water. That's the proper way. What is him Moshe? The fee, because Moshe is mean Moshe now. Ruach Hashem, this is the word, this is the Spirit of God, which was in the daughter of Paro, to call him Moshe, the name of Moshe v'Moshech, namely that he is now drawing the Jews up. Shu Moshech et Yisrael, that he's drawing the Jews out of the exile, from the water. Azedonim, from the evil waters, the turbulent waters of this world. Ve'ilu haya Moshe bodek b'shemo, if Moshe would have just checked in his name, Hayanode would know that in truth, ki al yado yigal, by means of him, he's going to be the redeemer of the Jewish people. V'lo yakor tagar, and he wouldn't complain to God, saying, Lama zeh shalachtani, why did you send me? Lama ha'areyosa, why did you do bad to the Jewish people? In other words, in Moshe's name is already contained the special purpose that he's got in the world. But in one way we can learn merit on Moshe. That why, maybe it's not so bad that Moshe complained to God. He looked at himself and he saw that he had a speech impediment. Therefore, Moshe thought that maybe, his name is Moshe, but maybe he thought that he's not fit for this. Maybe God decided, if God wanted to cure him, then he should take the Jewish people out. So he should have cured him. When in fact did he get cured? Moshe was only on Mount Sinai. It says everybody got cured at Mount Sinai. The blind could see and the deaf could hear, and etc. At Mount Sinai, God revealed himself. But until then, he went and he had spoken to Paro, at least 10 times for each one of the 10 plagues. And even before that. So it says, Lakach, therefore it says, Vayedaber Dibur Kashvet. Therefore it says, Vayedaber Moshe. Dibur is usually more difficult. Elohim, this is also the aspect of din. El Moshe, to Moshe, saying that Moshe is really fit to, that Moshe is justified in, Moshe is really justified that he didn't check out his name, and to understand from it that he was the Moshe, that he was going to draw the Jews out of exile. Why? Because he had a speech impediment. So therefore, lo haya lo, lomar, to say, lama hariota. Therefore, Moshe, because his name was Moshe, so he should have understood that he's taking the Jews out. But on his own, nidmali Hashem rachmi, but Hashem had mercy on him. In other words, Moshe looked at himself and he saw two opposite things. On one hand, he saw that he was stuttering and stumbling, and he couldn't speak. And he was saying, listen, I'm going to go to Paro. I'm a terrible representative of the Jewish people. I can't even speak straight. I'm going to talk to Paro and tell him to let the Jews out. It's going to be a laughing stock. Not going to do it. He says, but nevertheless, God said, hey, but your name is Moshe. You're the one that's chosen to take the Jewish people out. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. So Moshe said he had a speech impediment, yes, and therefore he had this, said, why? I'm not fitting to take you out. But nevertheless, God said, listen, but your name is Moshe. I picked you. Therefore, God had mercy on him. And he said, Vayomer, a love, bishvil mahut atzmo, on your own. I covered past, since that you have a speech impediment, therefore I understand. And now God's saying, I understand your doubts. Bishvil love, that's on love. It says, Ani avaya mora el rachamim. Okay, so again, what did it say? Vayadaber Elohim el Moshe. That God spoke severely to Moshe. To Moshe. Moshe was the one who was, from his name, he's going to take the Jews out. He shouldn't have any doubts about God. But Wayomer Elav Ani Avaya. But to him, to Moshe, to the person himself, because he had a speech impediment, God said, don't worry, I have mercy. I understand why you complain, because you have a speech impediment, but don't worry about it. I am God, I am full of mercy, and therefore I'm going to, even though that there's two things, Shemo, Mahuto, Sitri Adadi, even though that your name, Moshe, means you're going to draw the Jews out of exile, and yourself, namely that you're a stutterer, are two things which contradict another. Therefore, he said, don't worry, I'll have mercy, and I'll judge you for merit, the side of merit, and I'll excuse what you're questioning. Okay, he said, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov, and I appeared to them in the name El Shaddai, but my real name I did not make known to them. Rashi, VaAira, I appeared to the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, to tell us they're called the Avos, to let us know that they are our fathers. In other words, we also inherited those traits, and also Moshe inherited those traits. But to them, I only spoke to them in the name El Shaddai. I made all sorts of promises, and all the promises I spoke to, I always called myself by this name. But the name of Vati Lo Havaya, the Yudke Vovke, my real name, I did not make known to them. Lo Hodati, I did not, it doesn't say I did not inform them. Lo No Dati, I did not make like available. Lo Nikarti Lehem, I did not reveal myself to them in a real, true way. Because God did speak to them occasionally in Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov with the name Yudke Vavke, but he didn't reveal himself totally. My total name is the name Yudke Vavke. Ne'eman Lamet Avarai. I'm going to say I'm faithful to fulfill all my promises. Right? I promise. Says my name in El Shaddai, it could be that I made a promise and I didn't fulfill it. But my name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, I am always faithful to fulfill the promises. That's what it says. I promised them that I was going to take them to the land of Israel, and I didn't fulfill my promise to them. They didn't see Israel. They didn't get the land of Israel, but you're going to see it. Don't worry, because I'm appearing to you in the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. I didn't let known to them, but I'm making it known to you. Why is it that God said, I appeared to Avram, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov? I appeared to Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov, right? In the name El Shaddai. Why doesn't it say I appeared to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? Why does that say each one El? To Avram, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov. Why each one? So the Or HaChaim explains like this. The reason that he mentioned each one individually, because each one has something special. El Avram, for Avram, Nitalem is special. Mitzad Shu Asher Hikir, he's the one that recognized God first. Before God spoke to him. Ki halo timsa kol mishakorim lo. Anyone that was before Avram, right? Noach says Metushelach, says Chanoch, even Adam. He knew God from Miborim and myself, from what God did. The Hanagaso in Borov, how God dealt with people. Ein l'shaveach oto k'sheyelech b'derech bachar lo ya yudkei ki kol maskil yivchar b'tov. all the people before him, they became big tzaddikim by thinking deeply about Hashem, Hashem, Shalem Baravdo. But Masha Enkin Avram, which is not the case to Avraham. Avraham, he was clinging to God before God revealed to him any of his aspects. Vanagasov. But Kavar Katavdi, I already wrote that Avraham, Kila Avram, Lamana Sheyakirulo, Ohavo Shel Makom. He was known as the one who loved God. Perish Ahava Ta'emet. He just loved the truth because it was truth. Ahava Tov. He loved to do good. Even though that Avram didn't really know God except through these terrible tests, nevertheless, Davak B'Hashem, he clung to God, and that was Abraham's. What was Yitzchak? Yitzchak shayita b'chinat acheret. He was different. Shepashat tzavaro, that he was willing to stick his neck on the mizbeach. He was willing to let his father kill him on the altar. And Yaakov, his thing was he was complete. Not Yo Yatzami Meno, there was nothing that any children that came out of him that were bad, like Ishmael and Esav. So all these three levels of tzaddikim, they were the chosen ones of the world. Nevertheless, God said, as fine, as wonderful they were, God said, I didn't appear to them, only in the name El Shaddai. Shu Gilei Hada Hadraga Lamata, this is a lower level of godliness than Moshe, which Moshe I appeared to the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. And nevertheless, they didn't. God is trying to reprove him and tell him that you're what is called ingratitude to God. That so God considered him more than the Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, that he appeared to Moshe with this tremendously high name, higher than the Avos, and in a way Moshe didn't really deserve it like the Avos did. Avram Yitzchak, they were so special. I think God was saying, I think you should speak to me with a little more, how do you say, a little more, a little properly. You're not speaking it properly. And that's essentially what this is. It says Sarfarno is also. So God is then was saying to Moshe, it's too bad. Rashi really is really going to this here. It says, Rashi, it says, also I fulfilled my bris with them, that I gave them the land. I did, right, the land of Eretz Canaan. I'm going to give it to you right now. In other words, I'm fulfilling the covenant I made with them only with you. Also, when I appeared to them in the name El Shaddai, I made a covenant between them that I was going to give them the land of Israel. This is Rashi. God is still telling Moshe, he's reproving Moshe. To Avram, I promised them all I was going to give them the land of Israel. To Avram in the parsha of Milah, when I gave him the bris milah, I changed his name to Avraham. When he got circumcised, when God also said, Ani El Shaddai, Natati lecha, I'm going to give to you and to your seed afterwards the Eretz Mugurecha, the land of Israel. To Yitzchak it said, L'chol zaracha aten kol ha'aretzot ha'elu. To you and to your seed, I'm going to give all these lands, and I will fulfill the oath that I made. The same oath that I said to Avram, El Shaddai. And the same also to Yaakov, the same thing. I need El Shaddai. God said, I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and be multiply, and multiply. And this land, etc. I promised that I'm going to, this is to all these people, I promised, and I didn't give them anything. And I promised them the name, in one of my names, El Shaddai. I didn't give them anything. And they didn't complain. Also, I've heard the cries of the Jewish people, and I will remember my covenant. Says Rashi, I am God, Kamoshi Yitzavti V'amarati Abris, just like I kept this covenant. Also, the Yesh Alai Lakayim, just like I made the covenant, so I am also going to keep the covenant. Therefore, I heard the cries of the Jewish people, and this covenant that I made, namely, when did I make the covenant? With Abraham. I made with Abraham, remember the covenant between the pieces, when God he told Abraham to take this Egel Mishalesh, Va'il Mishalesh, to take a calf and a ram, and to slaughter them and cut them in half, and then Avram and so to speak, Hashem's presence passed between the two, and that's called the covenant between the pieces. I said, and the goy, Yavdu, you're going to be in a land that's terrible, and I'm going to judge the nation that tortures you. So God said, I promise. I will remember my covenant. I'm going to give them the land. I have heard the cries of the Jewish people, and I'm going to listen. So let's see if we can just do this. Here we go, right? Okay. So I've said to the Jews, I am God. I'm going to take them out of the Mitzrayim. Here are the first three languages of redemption. I will take them out, I will save them, and I will redeem them. And there's a very nice, okay, it says, Dalid, four languages of redemption are said in this pasuk. Maybe it means the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke that says here. It says, when it says there are four redemptions, they're not really, there's only three. So maybe when it says Ani Avaya, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke is one, Hotzeti is one, two is Tzalti, the third one is Ga'alti, and the fourth one over here is the next pasuk, V'lakachti otchem, and will take them to me. Okay, so here it says, let me see if I can find this beautiful explanation. Maybe it was here. Could it be? I forgot. Oh. This is not exactly in the book form, so I have to sort of translate what it says in the book. Okay. All right, that's it. Here are these four languages of exile. This is the Kli Yakar. After it mentions four times the name Elohim. Let's see. Let's look at the sentence. Okay, why God mentions Hotzeti, Itzalti, Goalti, V'lakachti. This corresponds to the four languages, to the four terrible things that went over them. Gir Yezar Acha. This is what God promised Abraham in the Bris Bein B'tarim. Says that's Gerus. Gerus. Be'eretz lo lahem. This is the Shekhinah went away from them. Samach Richuk Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is like being a dweller, like wandering around, because the Jewish people, as long as they're not in the land of Israel, it says the Shekhinah is not with them. Only in the land, the Holy Land, is God with them. Then when it says Ve'ivdu otam, that we became slaves, this is additional to being just living in a strange land. And that's it, because usually a slave, he's nothing in himself. And the Haitzalti, the Hatzalah, came only from God. That God saved them a little bit. First of all, he took them out from the worst thing, namely Ha'inui, the suffering. That's the thing of the slavery. It says Inuotam. That's addition. So there's four things. First of all, number one is it says they were in a strange land. Second thing is that the Shekhinah was far from them. Third thing is they were servants. And the fourth thing is that they were made to suffer. So God saved them for these four things. Something, that's what it said. Okay. Because usually a slave, you don't make him suffer for no reason. So the Jewish people, they made them suffer for no reason, in addition to the fact that they're being slaves, in addition to the fact that Hashem was far, in addition to the fact that they were in a strange land. So therefore it said, God, first of all, saved them for the most dangerous thing. First of all, he took away the suffering. That's what it says. I've taken you out from the suffering of Egypt, namely the torture. Then it says, Lamanotam Basivlotam. Afterwards, he saved them also from being slaves. That's what it says. That's what it says. This is a mistake. Sometimes they make mistakes and it's hard to read. It should be said hitzalti, no hitzchat, whatever this word is. Hitzalti etchem. So then he took them out of being slaves. Afterwards, he saved them from the most lenient, and that is being wanderers. He said, I'll take you back to the land of Israel. Because this, and therefore it says that I'm sorry, and before that it says that God will return his presence with them. And then after that, he says, then after my presence is with you, then I'm going to take you back to the land of Israel. So that's the four. Hotseiti means I'll take you from the suffering. Hitzalti means I'll take you from servitude. Ga'alti means that my presence with you. And then Lakachti, I'll take you to the land of Israel. That's the four cups of redemption. And we'll finish that with that today. God willing, tomorrow we'll continue. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Shalom Uvracha.